How big is 6 inches?
6 inches? Here.
Pull it and tell me when it's 6 inches.
That's too much.
You got 5.5.
Close.
Like around
Strip
5.5.
it, then you'll know.
So can we leave that in? I was close. Let the record reflect. I knew what that looked like. Not saying anything. Just,
That lady's a good lawyer.
Welcome to Tangled Rights. Wah. We're here.
Episode 50.
Shane's cool.
Thanks, dude.
I about said something else. So we got lots to talk about today, but first, none of this is supposed to constitute a legal relationship, just a romantic one.
Is possible if you're not already our client.
Yeah, there's actually a rule on that. It's fun. There's a few things that the state, well, let me back up. Not a lawyer-client relationship. If you need representation, seek local counsel unless you're local to Kansas or the state of Nevada, then call us and we got you. So there are a few things that the state bar sets as rules that, well, there are a lot of rules, but there are a few that they seem to really care about. And one of them is whether or not lawyers are sleeping with their clients. Would you agree with that? Like the things that you've seen people get reprimanded for and censured for?
Yes.
So the reason being, it's a lot like the rules with doctors and psychiatrists because you're in a position of power, right? And you're defending these people. And I think the context is that the law or whatever governing bodies don't want people to be put in a situation where they view the other person in a higher regard because they're helping them in a way that is a little bit more profound than just like, oh, let's have a conversation about who our favorite sports team is. And I find Shane attractive because of his nice hair and great skin and beautiful eyes. I'm sorry. And then, naturally, like you would if you were meeting somebody versus you have this relationship professionally and it puts you in a weird position. And there's lots of other ones. What's some of the other ones you can think of that the bar takes seriously?
I just heard about an attorney who is getting suspended or in the initial suspension.
Oh,
when we were talking about.
Yeah.
Heard about that yesterday.
But this is not a one-off either.
And he is accused and now found in a panel that he was being aggressive, very aggressive with other people. That's another negative. But
Sure.
One of the big ones is taking clients' money.
Right, theft. That was where I was going to go next.
That's the big one. I figured you were there, but taking clients' money, not handling your trust account, because we have special bank accounts called trust accounts where we hold other people's money.
In trust?
In trust, yeah. So it's protected.
Yeah.
And so we have to hold it in those special accounts until we can pay back
Right.
who we can. And the bar doesn't like overlook that until there's an issue. So it's kind of like
You better hope your books are right.
yeah.
So they come knocking, they're going to do a forensic accounting. And if you're wrong.
Right. So and you kind of have some Bill of Rights where it's like unless there's somebody who's putting that into dispute, they won't come ask for it. Right. So you just have to self-account for that. So that's why we have to hold that money until we know where it goes. We can't just disperse it and give it to somebody.
Which, I mean, especially when I first started out, that sucked. I remember the first time I got a client to pay me $10,000 and I was like, yeah, this is so much money. I'm poor. Right into the trust account. Can't touch it. Not that you want to, but it's just like, you think, oh, I'm working. I haven't done a billing yet because I'm not going to invoice every week. I'm going to invoice once a month. So I've earned the money, but I haven't sent the bill, so I can't transfer it. There's a lot of weird rules like that. But I think all in all, it's good. The only thing that I would have a slight gripe with the bar is sometimes it seems like the things that we all know to be the rules that are important don't get, how do I say this, applied evenly, it seems like sometimes.
Yeah.
But maybe that's from my perspective because I'm out here and, I have an investment in the profession and how things go.
Yeah. It all depends on what view you're taking.
Sure.
But this is episode 50.
Let's talk about something that's less boring.
A big, important episode.
Yeah,
episode
huge,
50.
Huge.
Shane and Justin are back. Just us this time.
Oh, yeah.
Because
that's why it's important.
We've had 3 guests in a row now. We
just keep having people. Everyone's always asking us, hey, can I be on your podcast?
Yeah,
it's so fun and cool.
Yeah.
We know that more people are going to like us. And
well,
we're going to have so many more friends after this.
And I feel like we got we didn't really talk about what we normally talk about in those three either.
No.
A little bit with the,
I mean, I do love ghost stories though.
you did. There wasn't much legal there, but we are licensed attorneys in the state of Nevada.
I tried so hard to
Contact
like
us.
weave a little bit of legal in there.
Yeah, it's tough. You fell in love.
Hey, he's a handsome man.
You had
I've said two dudes are handsome in the same show.
I know.
All right, sweet. Everybody's going to start questioning me. There's no question.
All right.
There's no question.
Karmello Anthony.
Karmello Anthony, spelled with a K. He is currently charged with murder for the stabbing of another 17-year-old Austin Metcalf in a track meet on April 2nd. So obviously, as with everything, the universe of facts that we're operating in are dynamic. They change a lot. But what my understanding is that the victim, what's his name? Metcalf and his twin brother, who were identical twins, biological, of course, were at a track meet. Anthony was there too. I've seen some disputed evidence that says that he wasn't supposed to be there, that he was jipping class, just hanging out with his friends, whatever. He's a student, so I don't think that's super important. And that he was under their tent, like their, four-legged awning tent. They come up, they ask him to move. And this is the part that's disputed. It's not sure whether they were being like aggressive with him or not aggressive, but get the fuck out of my chair versus, oh, sir, will you please move? You're not supposed to be here. And then they're like, he says no. They say, all right, well, we're going to make you. And then he says, touch me and see what happens. That's one that I've seen everywhere. So, I mean, I don't know, obviously, if it's true, but I've seen it a lot of different places. And then that Metcalf tries to grab him or grabs his bag, and then Anthony stabs him somewhere in the middle of the chest. And then Anthony bleeds to death there on the scene, I believe. And so the reason I want to talk about this is in Texas, just like Nevada, it's a stand your ground state. Texas Penal Code section 9.31 says that individuals are not required to retreat before using force to defend themselves. That being said, defense has a few limitations. You have to have a reasonable belief that the force you're using is immediately necessary to protect yourself from imminent harm. So that's the first one, right? Like if I walk up to Shane and I say, hey, I don't want you sitting in that chair. And then Shane just punches me. I didn't, in that hypothetical, do anything overtly threatening to make a person of reasonable intelligence, the reasonably prudent person, think that he needs to punch me to defend himself. But then the next part that I think is going to potentially, based on what I've seen so far, be a problem for Anthony is that the force must be proportional to the threat you're facing. So if you're looking at it from the perspective of like 0 being no contact at all, 1, and it's weird because there isn't like a 1 to 10 scale. It's kind of a 1 to 3 or a 0 to 3. You've got 0 is no contact, 1 being battery, 2 being battery with a deadly weapon, and then 3 being battery with a deadly weapon with death. I mean, like, I don't think that it gets there based on what I've read, because at worst, the guy maybe said, hey, I'll punch you, and then touched his bag. And then you stab him. I think that you're going to have trouble with that one. The strange thing that I've seen in this, again, this is everywhere, is that the bail was reduced from $1 million to $250,000. I don't know why. I just know it got dropped, which is odd with a case like this. But something that I saw that's interesting is that because he's only 17, they can't sentence him to death and they can't sentence him to life. He can be tried as an adult, but still, because he's under 18, there's Supreme Court case law that says that he can't get those two things. He can't
get life without the possibility of parole.
Or yeah, that's what it is. Life without possibility. Sorry. So he can get life, but it has to be a possibility of parole after like 10 or 25 years. So you still have the life tail, but I think that you're looking at less of a time, even if he was convicted as charged. Let's see what else. Oh, you cannot also, and this is pretty universal with self-defense, you cannot be the initial aggressor. That's up for debate. Who's the aggressor in this situation? I don't know.
And a lot of it's going to be based on testimony, which who presents better at trial?
Yeah.
Is a question that always, everybody sees it in their own light and thinks that it'll be whatever way. And this has become a hotly contested racial issue.
Fucking political already.
So maybe what race you are might determine who you think, is the initial aggressor. And that's,
everybody has their biases.
If you did that across racial lines, you'll see that the race would go with the race of, the defendant, and the race would go with the race of the victim,
Right.
or purported victim.
Yeah.
So you're going to hear all this testimony, and everybody already has their mind made up of what happened without having an open mind for a possible trial, which,
that's a
which
tough
might
one.
have to happen here because what if there's a deal made, everybody's going to be up in arms one way or the other.
Right.
So there is certainly public opinion that goes to what the prosecutors do.
Sure.
The prosecutors always kind of know what the victims are thinking or what the public is thinking in this instance. So those cases seem to go to trial way more often because you can't have a resolution that's going to make everybody happy. But here, I took this to trial. That's, what I'm going to do. I'm going to take it to trial, and that'll appease the masses.
Yeah, I think that in this one, and this is a question I have, and for you, do you think that the fact that you're able to crowdsource this kind of stuff for funding kind of pours gas on the fire? Because you're able to get people who are, I'm not going to call them grifters or anything like that, but the money involved now is going to bring the attention of people who otherwise might not be there. For example, say that they use that money to hire some big time out of state defense attorney who uses what defense attorneys do, which is everything at their disposal to try to achieve the best results for their client. And part of a good defense case like this would be to kind of confuse the issues. It's not about violence and two people using force. It's like you said, let's turn it into a racial issue. Do you think that kind of exacerbates it at all? Because that's something I've been wrestling with in my head, because you start seeing these people speak out now, certain community leaders, certain this, that, and the other on both sides. Because when one side gets involved, like, who is it? Was it Al Sharpton or those types of folks? Then the people on the other side of the aisle that are their analog seem to get involved anyway, even though they're not being paid or whatever. So I often wonder if that is worse for the situation.
It'll blow up the situation for sure, and this seems to be one that'll keep going. Because I'm going to guess it's going to go to trial. That would be
unless they offer him a sweetheart deal.
My guess.
Do you remember what county it was in?
But I don't know.
Frisco's Dallas.
It was in Frisco, Texas, so just outside of Dallas.
Yeah, so that'll be Dallas County, I think.
I do not know.
That's crazy.
Big enough city that they have a lot of cases, but
sure. But they also have a lot of resources.
And they've certified. I don't know what Texas language uses, but trying him as an adult, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay. Yeah.
And real quick, the 4 like codified elements or codified instances where you can use deadly force: when you believe that it's immediately necessary to prevent death, serious bodily injury, sex assault, or the imminent commission of an aggravated kidnapping, murder, sex assault, or aggravated robbery.
Okay, so
basically serious bodily injury.
That's going to be his,
or death is what he's going to need.
Yeah, he's going to have to do those. So.
Unless, I don't know what their aggravated kidnapping is, but if he could say, I thought they were going to pick me up and move me, maybe.
Yeah, but you got to commit to one, right? Like
I think, it could be one of these 3 things was going to happen.
Because he'll have to testify, right? In order to bring this defense, he's going to have to testify.
He'll definitely have to testify.
Because they'll be able to prove that, he did the killing. So now this is a self-defense argument. So you have to prove your self-defense.
Right.
So then it switches to the defendant having the burden.
Isn't that
of
burden
proving.
shifting?
That's called burden shifting in a legal sense. So typically the prosecution has to prove their case beyond a reasonable doubt, but they don't have to prove intent for certain crimes, right?
Sure.
So he wants to be acquitted. That's going to be his goal here. So he's going to have to. I'm guessing he's going to choose a self-defense argument to make. So that'll be an interesting to watch going forward. Yeah, the news is just like blown up on that one recently too. So maybe because his name is Karmello Anthony, and then everybody says no, it's not that Karmello Anthony.
He went to Syracuse.
He did go to Syracuse, just like you.
Oh,
for 1 year, he was there 1 year.
Yeah,
you were there
not
too.
The same programs. I think
you were there
he and I
too.
did different stuff.
Yeah,
there was a kid in my law school whose brother was on the
basketball team.
Belby.
I don't know.
And now Belby works for ESPN, I think.
They run that 2-3 zone defense.
They're good.
Yep. That's anything, Austin? Nope.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just an interesting one because, sorry?
Go Larry Bird.
And Austin likes the white guy who plays basketball. Sheesh.
Kevin Belby,
Luka Doncic.
his brother's white. Belby.
All right.
I don't remember what his brother's name was.
I believe you. I believe you.
Fuck off. It's just interesting. I think this one because you're seeing from the political aspect of it. You've got this self-defense crowd, which is typically like the right, and now they're kind of up in arms about it. But then the left now is every Texan has a right to defend themselves. It's a quote.
And I think it's super interesting all the time because the conservative justices on the Supreme Court often are like side with the cops, and I'm like, dude, I hate it.
I hate it so
because
much.
I'm like, you're saying that you're for the state staying out of your business, and yet here you are, having a different perception on these amendments to the Constitution and not the Second Amendment. It's like, all right, whatever. So it's tough when these people seem to flip flop depending on whichever political view it is.
Whichever side is like the one that's in charge of the issue at hand. But anyway, interesting one. We'll definitely have some more stuff to say about it. I'm sure there'll be a lot of info. I do want to kind of reserve a little bit of judgment. I'm just telling things that I, at this point, after seeing stuff, believe to be pretty much uncontroverted because both sides are saying them. But there's so many facts that are up in the air. It's a really hard time to render an opinion about what I think as far as whether or not the stabbing was justified or unjustified.
It's almost as if we should wait to hear all the evidence that's presented in front of a court of competent jurisdiction. It's almost as if that...
No. Who did you vote for? And that's why you should decide it.
Football team.
Which football team do you like? And what bathroom do you want to use? Those are the basics.
That's what they do for juries, right?
Duh.
All right, well. Okay, so I have one for you, Justin.
Okay, is this like where I'm supposed to listen and think and then give you an idea?
I got a video.
Oh,
and
I love videos.
This is all, before I show you, I'll plug my hat. We're back on the hats. All the listeners were saying, Shane, where are your minor league baseball
all 12
hats?
of them?
Nobody ever said that to me, but I love them. Didn't want to disrupt our guest we had with these dumb hats, but this is out of Charlotte, North Carolina. Back to Charlotte.
I thought it was like the Orioles because it looks like their colors and almost like the bird.
This is a special one. This is a food
Everyone
one.
is special to you.
Barbecue. This is not the normal team. The normal team is the Knights. Okay, Charlotte Knights.
Are they golden?
They're not Golden Knights like our Vegas Golden Knights.
Losers.
Who are in the playoffs, about to start. No,
how's that going to go for them?
They have home advantage this first series. They swept the Wild 3-0 during the regular season, so hopefully they win.
Dang.
Fleury, our old goalie, is the goalie now for the Wild, so that'll be interesting. It's going to be his last season, so maybe his last game will be in T-Mobile Arena, Las Vegas, for those of you who watch NHL.
So weird.
It would be weird, and Gladys loves Fleury, so... but this is a Charlotte, North Carolina, and North Carolina is known for its barbecue, especially pork.
So it's a pulled pork sandwich.
So this is a pulled pork sandwich, but it's like a mustache is the pulled pork. It's kind of weird, and he's holding a baseball bat. It's brown and tan and orange and white, and it's a sandwich with
he looks aggressive,
and he looks very angry.
Getting ready to hit a dinger. He's like, I'm about to fucking smack this thing in the left field.
Yes, he is. Okay.
Just wait.
So We'll pause for you guys so Justin can watch this video and we'll insert it right here.
This time it shows a traffic arrest from earlier this year that ultimately led to one officer's resignation.
Yeah, Henry Chapman had been with CMPD for 15 years until he was caught trying to steal money from a person he had arrested, according to police. Now, this footage is from March 14th. The man at the center of this initial arrest was pulled over in a routine traffic stop. He was arrested and put in the back of a police patrol car because he was wanted on an outstanding warrant. Everything on his person, including his phone, wallet, and cash, police say nearly $8,000 worth of cash, was confiscated. Eventually, he was taken to the police department, and that's when things took a turn. This video shows the suspect asking a fellow officer to check Officer Chapman for the missing money. He accuses Officer Chapman of hiding it between his legs. Then a sergeant comes in to get to the bottom of it.
Look. Come here. Come, yeah, come here. I'm telling you.
I want to come here. You know that.
Okay. Do you see anything?
No, yeah, look, no cap. I'm not even going to touch it. It's blue hundreds right here. It's all the blue hundreds are right there behind that receipt. Thank you. All that's my money. He didn't have that.
This is your money?
Yes, I heard him crumble it up. Thank you. Thank you.
About $900 was found balled up in the driver's side door of the police patrol car. Officer Chapman was eventually taken in for questioning. Police say he admitted taking the money but said he wasn't going to steal it. Chapman was arrested and charged with 1 count of embezzlement. He resigned the next day.
Okay, what questions do you have? Because I have many opinions.
Yeah, and
First off,
Go ahead.
civil asset forfeiture is fucked.
that's not what this is, right? This
I understand
is theft.
that.
This is straight theft.
But I guarantee you, they're that other money they're taking too. It's both theft. Because he's going to have to prove that he had it in a normal way. There are certain parts of I-35 or Highway 166 where if you get pulled over with a large amount of money, anything probably over $2,000-$3,000, and you're not, like, let's say you're just a regular Joe Schmo who works at a factory or something like that, and you got $3,000 on you, they're going to take it, and you're going to have blank versus U.S. currency.
Yeah, you have to file a motion to get this stuff back,
which is bullshit.
Which we've dealt with before, right?
Fucking hate it.
It's supposed to be. So you might have heard of civil asset forfeiture. We'll talk about it again a little bit.
The short name for it is theft.
If you have money on you and the cops believe, they don't even have to prove it, but if they believe that it's in use of the crime or you got money because you
or that it's
sold
proceeds of the
drugs
crime
or anything.
Here's the
it
dumb
doesn't have
part.
to be. It doesn't have to be. They have to just believe it, right?
But here's the dumb part. They don't have anything else. They pull somebody over. They ask them to search the vehicle. The person says, sure, go ahead and search it. And they find $10,000 in the center console with a bank wrap on it, like 2 $5,000 little bundles. I don't know. We didn't find any drugs. You look like a normal person. We can't articulate any reasonable suspicion, not even probable cause. The lower one, reasonable suspicion. We think that's drug money. Why? Well, it's money. It must be drug money. Get fucked.
And then you have to file a motion.
And then you have to fight to get it back.
Yeah, and you have to pay an attorney. You don't have a right to an attorney in that context.
Burden shifting, though.
Yeah.
Because
I agree.
they should have to be able to prove something much higher than, oh, it's a bunch of money. You can only get that if you're doing crimes. Like Barney Fife, motherfucker. God, that pisses me off. And then that cop stole it. Those other cops should have beat his ass and arrested him right then and there. Fuck a resignation.
All right. He got charged.
I don't give a shit. He got to resign and he got to go home. That's the only office you can have where you shoot someone in their fucking house and then you sleep in your own bed that night. And you can do it on camera. This shit pisses me off.
I can tell.
I'm mad.
Well, I didn't mean to make you mad.
I'm not mad at you. I'm mad at that guy and I'm mad at a flawed system. And I know that we're just people and this is the best we can do. Probably we do have the best system, but still the I don't know, the part of me, the 12% that's optimistic, wishes that we could be better.
And these stories blow up because they are the worst of the worst that come out and get shown. We hear a lot about, bad people doing bad things. Ooh. But sometimes it is cops.
We had one like
that steal money. That's kind of why I wanted to pull this up again.
Yeah.
Is this cop, you can kind of tell in watching this video, he's not being upfront like, yeah.
Oh, what do you mean? Oh, the money.
And then,
that was stuck behind something.
And they let the criminal defendant get up there and show good. Hey, I'm accusing you of this. I'm glad that the other cops let him walk to the car and kind of say where it was at,
but he's
pointed it out, because you can see him clearly take it, on the camera, and he probably has a distrust of police. He's been in the system, but he had a warrant. We don't know what the warrant was for, but he got picked up for a warrant, which could be nothing. Could be just not showing up to court for.
It could be a traffic ticket in the wrong spot.
Yeah, it could be.
He could have not paid a speeding ticket. That's why he gets arrested. And then the cops steal his money.
It could be. So just because you have cash doesn't mean that they're allowed to take it. But I guess there's a risk if you run around with cash, right? That's why I always try to keep mine, squared away in a safe.
Your shoebox.
In a shoebox, yeah. No.
Yeah, man. I mean, there'll be times I've got some money on me and it's not even a lot. I think the most I've ever carried on me for any period of time was 2 or 3 days, almost $5,000. And it was because I knew I was going to deposit it or pay it over here or do something with rent or whatever. It was when we first moved in here, and it's it's in my pocket in my suit or it's in my pants pocket. But every single time I'm just like, fuck, something happens.
Yeah, if you get pulled over
Yeah.
and the cop decides you're looking at him wrong or something, and
Which I would be.
and yeah, I know you would be. And then, that firearm, I don't feel safe because of that firearm. And then they pull it out of your pants and shoot you in the leg accidentally.
That time that I got pulled over by the NHP officer when I was on my way to Laughlin, if he'd patted me down, like I have a little bit of money in my front pocket right now. I'm wearing shorts. They're a little tighter than my suit was. But I guarantee you, if it would have been in my suit pocket, not in my suit jacket, he would have patted me down. He would have pulled it out of my pocket. And he probably would have tried to take it. But then the question I ask myself, he knows I'm an attorney. I told him I'm on my way to a deposition. I can show him my bar card. Do I get treated differently because attorneys should have money? I was broke at the time, bro. He doesn't know that. But like, are they going to let me go? Are they going to, oh, well, you could have $2,000. Fuck off. Not that I had that much in my pocket. I think I had like $300, but I've been at the blackjack tables, $5 at Ellis Island. Let's go.
Baller, dude.
Dude, Ellis Island is the best. So in our case,
Yes.
there was co-defendants, big fraud case. This fucking guy. It's crazy because like the level at these fraud or these forgery lab cases, the level of sophistication I imagine they have to pull off some of the shit that they do with like forging treasury checks, like U.S. Treasury checks that get passed. Like they'll pass and it'll go through and they won't catch it until a couple hours later. Like if I tried to make a forged check and I gave it to you, you'd wonder where my handler was, like to make sure, hey, your special needs guy here shouldn't be doing this. Like it's not going to look right, And I say that in the perspective of like, I can't draw, my handwriting sucks. There's no way it's going to work. These dudes can make these things and pass them off. They had checks that passed for the Fertitas and for, why am I drawing a blank? Dana White. Yes. Duh. UFC. So the cops come because he's already on probation for something else. Not my client, my client's roommate. They come in, the probation officer, and sees obvious forgery lab stuff just out in the open. They call the cops come, and there's like $3,000 sitting on a table. It's on body cam in one section. And in the next section, you've got a detective saying, hey, this is the table. Where the fuck is the money? And everyone's like, well, I don't know. I still don't know what the resolution was, but they know for a fact that his money was stolen by the police. I believe, if memory serves, that everybody thinks it was the PNP officer, but you have one PNP officer and a bunch of Metro cops, and all the Metro cops are, oh, we would never. It must have been them. Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. I don't know. But in that instance, it's the same thing. It's on the body cam right there. I remember what it was. They pulled it out of his pocket. They put it down when they were cuffing him and stuff. And then they come back and they're doing like an inventory of the place and the money's just gone. It's just, I don't know, man. That's disgusting to me.
And I think we always try to tell our clients, be respectful.
He was.
And
he was super nice.
The guy that was being arrested in this video was respectful, but persistent.
Good.
And I think that's how you should be. Don't throw a fit and yell. I think if you're calm and just say, hey, I had some money and that officer took it. You're trying to do, because they take inventory of what you have when they're arresting you, putting you in jail. And if your stuff's not there, including the cash, raise, some kind of something about it.
Sure.
Because that might get lost. So
yeah,
be respectful. That's what we always try to tell.
But stand up for yourself.
People,
don't be afraid to say when you're right and you're right. If you're like, look, I am right about this issue. I understand maybe I'm not going to get anything solved, but I'm right. This guy did that thing.
Right. And then that officer did end up taking a criminal deal, going to avoid jail time, going to do some classes, probation, whatever.
I don't know, man. It just doesn't seem good enough to me because it's like theft, but theft under color of law.
Yeah.
Right. That seems so much worse to me.
Abusing your authority and power. Yeah.
That you are being paid for by the public, by the person who you're stealing from in your community. That person is literally funding you to steal from them. It just seems so much worse to me. It's like, so it's not just dirty, right? But it's also like, I think, what's the idea, right? Like with Game of Thrones, when they were talking about Jaime and they'd always give him shit, oath breaker, right? And it was like a big deal because he swore to protect the king, but then he killed him. These people swear to protect the Constitution and the citizens, and then they fuck them over. They might as well be burning the Constitution. Another thing, it just should be bigger. Whatever, fuck off. I'm on my soapbox.
A little bit, yeah. Do you want to watch another video to make you mad?
Videos. You're going to make my blood pressure go up again?
Yes, it will.
Hell yeah.
All right. I like this one, though. We'll insert this video now.
Hi there. pocket. I just saw you walking it.
The navigational aids. What's the problem? You a tyrant?
Yeah, I am actually. What's your name and date of birth?
I don't have to give that unless
Yes,
I'm
sir. I was investigating.
You have reasonable.
Do you want me to put you in handcuffs right now? Yes, sir, I do.
What is your suspicion?
It looks like you're carrying a gun in your back pocket. I'm stopping to make sure you're carrying it properly. You don't
have
have
you
to.
ensured that it's not a firearm?
No, you keep turning so I can't see it. You don't have to be a dick to me.
Well, you're being one to me.
No, sir, I'm
Have
doing
a
my
good
job.
day. Am I detained?
Yeah, you are. What's your name and date of birth?
It does not matter.
Yes, sir, it does.
Do you have a crime?
Would you like me
Call
to
your
put you in?
supervisor,
He's right
please.
here.
All right.
You don't.
Sir, what's she stop you for? For a walking stick.
So,
And it could look like a weapon. She asked you to present it, okay? Now she's asking me for ID. Okay. I don't need the ID unless there's reasonable articulated suspicion that I have committed a crime and committing a crime or about to do a crime. Sir, and her suspicion was that you were armed, okay? And she's asking you for your ID. Well, now she has verified that I am not armed. Okay. So there is no problem. You got your ID or not? Okay. Sir, you deserve it.
77 Whiskey Mike detained. I don't know where his wallet is.
Where's your wallet at, sir? I don't have a wallet on me.
Okay, where's your ID?
Where's your ID? In my pocket. Which pocket? You are not allowed to search me.
It's in this pocket.
There you go.
Thank you.
I want your names and badge numbers.
1257 on Nick 65427.
Sir, are you legally blind? Yes, I am.
All right, so this is in Florida because it's got to be in Florida in
Naturally.
an area we've talked about that's kind of like west of Jacksonville, so not in the Panhandle, but kind of Lake City area is what it's called. This is a disabled veteran, okay, and he was returning from jury duty. James Hodges. So, like the quintessential person that's like, "Why are you bothering me?" And maybe somebody, a society we see, has a right to be angry, right? Like,
Yeah.
those are the kind of people that sometimes we're like, okay, yeah, we get,
Especially,
we get that you're
okay,
angry.
let's say she thought it was a weapon, which I would consider myself a firearms enthusiast.
Yeah, but sometimes you see things wrong.
Oh, and I agree.
You
she
see
thinks
things wrong.
She thinks it's a weapon, which I'm going to pretend is possible. She gets up to him. He pulls it out and shows her it's a walking stick, which I initially thought, because he's walking without it, that it was just the kind you'd use when you're hiking, you know, but apparently it's the blind kind, whatever. You know, at that point, it's not a weapon. All right, see ya. Thanks. Appreciate you showing me. Fuck off. Like, what then? Why are we still here?
I don't know.
And I love that. Are you a tyrant? Yeah, I am. You are. You are. At least you know that you said it out loud.
That's the funny part. We'll have to clip that, chat.
Spam L in the chat for the cops.
I'm trying to see how much he got.
Good. I hope it was a lot.
There's no real news on it that I've seen.
I mean, he got
but-
arrested. That means he had to squat and cough.
But we want
for no reason.
We want to be clear. The U.S. Supreme Court says you don't have to identify yourself unless they're reasonable suspicion of a crime.
And he even said the right words. Reasonable, articulable suspicion.
Right. So, and even carrying a gun isn't a crime. And that's what she said. I want to make sure you're carrying it right.
Carrying
and
it
you
properly.
can say, all right, well, screw off. See ya.
What does that mean? Properly, it's a constitutional carry state. It was exposed, meaning I can have it in my back pocket, I can have it in my front pocket, I can have it in this little bitty tiny pocket.
But
it's still
a
mine.
cop can approach you and say, hey, you know, the way you're holding that is wrong. And that person is right to say, F you, I'm leaving, and walk away.
Wrong.
Right.
Oh.
So if he has it just in his back pocket where, let's say she
definitely
suspects
unsafe.
that, that's
Super
not,
unsafe.
that's not a safe place to have it because the trigger's not, you know,
Protected,
guarded in any
lots of
way.
different things. Yeah, yeah.
You could have accidental discharge, you know, in your back pants. And that would not be good. So she can go up and talk to him.
Sure.
Like approach and
he can tell her to leave him alone, and I'm not stopping.
Not detain him, right?
No.
For that, And then upon finding out that
she was wrong,
not even a gun, but it's a walking stick that he pulls out very, like if she's actually fearful, it's a gun. He pulls it out real quick.
He turns
to
it
put it in her
sideways though.
face.
I mean, the way he did it was fast. So.
I know, but like,
no, for sure.
I wouldn't do it like that. I'd reach slowly, and
I'd
calmly.
probably turn and just show it to her. Be like, do you see that? Does that look like a gun to you? No, it's a walking stick, stupid.
Did you argue too much?
No.
Did he argue too much is Austin's question, which I don't think he did too much.
He might have been, his tone was not great.
His tone was very negative.
But that's just like human to human conflict resolution. But at the same time, my tone would be worse and I would be using a lot more profanity.
See, here's the issue though that you run into when he has a subsequent civil case, Does he seem like a jerk for that civil case?
I don't think so.
Not to you, but you're an angrier than average individual who, talks with a meaner than average tone.
The fuck you say?
It's true.
It's
just true. Like
I'm even peach colored, bro.
That's just objectively true.
When you get mad.
But he has those factors. He's coming from jury duty and he's a Navy veteran.
And he's blind.
And he's legally blind. But he's not using it at the time.
That's the weird part.
That's one of those things the defense attorneys, why weren't you using the stick at the time then? If you're legally blind, are you abusing the system by
let's see.
being categorized as legally blind?
What was I using? My foot car. Because I can't drive. Because I'm blind. Maybe shut the fuck up.
And cops want you to ID yourselves. And when you're walking on the street, you don't have to have an ID. Mm-mm. You don't have to have an ID.
He didn't have a wallet. He had all the stuff in his front pocket.
Yeah, he did have.
He was literally coming from performing the only kind of constitutional service that is mandated except for the draft.
And that people hate too. Like that
nobody
they
likes
hate
to do.
That's.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yes.
I want to.
Yes.
I will never get to do one probably.
And we'll get into, we have a case about Batson that we'll talk about.
Sure.
Jury duty really soon. I don't think we have enough time to delve into that.
There's not enough time in the day.
Yes, completely. But the conversation there was just preposterous. Like we were talking to another defense attorney recently about how long the training is for police officers to know constitutional rights. And they get trained for 6 weeks.
Yeah.
And then they get sent off with a gun, and to unleash
I got trained
that
for 2 years.
To unleash that on you got $1 million
Fuck
you found somewhere?
Love
well,
that.
let's link that article too.
Yeah. And I got trained by Professor Anand, who was very knowledgeable, but man, he was a sinister motherfucker.
That's just to say we graduate college, which I learned nothing about due process rights or First Amendment, Fourth Amendment, anything in my undergrad.
Do wheelies.
Law school trains you how to know what the laws mean, the laws mean, and importantly, the case law. So we study that for years, and we never stop studying it.
And how to analyze facts to law.
Yes.
And each one of those stupid cases that you read is like a really weird fact pattern to illustrate a very, very small outer edge of these fact patterns that are like super weird and seem to kind of stretch the rule, but they somehow apply. Most of it is down the middle.
But this is like one of those that you should just know. Like
that's down the middle.
No reasonable suspicion. Let him go.
Well, up to that point, and I'm going to again say that I will defer that she saw what she thought she saw.
Sure.
Even though I don't believe
that it's not a pretext. Yeah.
But I'm going to pretend that it's true for this purpose. Once, before he even turned, when she was walking up to him in the body cam, you can see it's not a fucking gun. It looked like tent poles at first. Because they're folded.
It does fold like a tent pole.
Which is not a firearm.
No, as far as I know.
I mean, maybe you could have a pen gun, but that's not what she said. She
No,
didn't say,
she
I
thought
think
it
you
was
have a pen gun. She says, I think you have a firearm.
I'm going to believe her that she did think it was a firearm because why else approach him,
Maybe she's bored. How big's that town?
It's not a big town.
Yeah.
No,
so she probably was just looking to be a dick to a scruffy old guy. She found a guy with the dual goatee with his little do-rag or whatever he was wearing. Was like, hey, I feel like being an asshole to that guy.
I think it's the same one as that Taco Bell parking lot case we looked at.
I love Taco Bell.
Yeah, of course you do.
Dude, Cinnabons, grilled cheese burrito, chicken quesadilla with easy cream and jalapeno sauce, medium Pepsi, no ice. That's my order. What's up? Bro, easy meaning light.
He doesn't. He doesn't like that.
Dude.
He doesn't like the
I don't
spice.
like spicy stuff.
He doesn't like the spice.
Bitch, it says jalapeno.
We're just a video day. I sent you one on Instagram today. We were looking at together.
Which one?
Of the 2 black kids. Okay.
Oh,
2 black kids.
And so you and I disagreed on that one.
Well, let's talk about it. We'll insert the video right.
Hold on, wait. Here.
Oh, dang, I missed it.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to talk to y'all, bro.
Okay, well, I'm trying to talk to you. I'm giving you a lawful order to stop.
That's no lawful order.
Yeah, it is. All right. Go ahead, call your mom. So you're not listening to police.
You want some bullshit, bro?
Okay, that's fine.
You're not gonna touch me! You're on me for no reason! Call my mom, bro! Call my mom, bro!
I'm telling you
for no reason, bro!
What happened? There was a description that two black males were robbed somebody at gunpoint. They see me and they immediately start running. I'm conducting an investigation. They have to stop and talk to me. I grab Elijah and he tenses up. He starts pulling away. He starts trying to fight me. So
Right, because he's not under arrest.
Correct, but he is legally detained at that point.
On a suspicion, right?
Yes.
So what was the description he was given?
It'll all be in the report.
Okay, so you see in that video, first the kids who are
The
teenagers,
Legal children. They look like they could be.
and there's plenty of studies that show that police officers or a normal citizen think that black kids are older than they are. Okay, so when you see a black kid, you'll think that they're 14, 15 when they're like 13 or 12.
That's weird because
Yeah.
when you talk to folks, a lot of times, at least when I'm guessing ages,
And this is just
I'm always way off. Like
you're just really bad at it, I think.
Well, you know the phrase "black don't crack." You know why they got that phrase?
Because they
Black
look good.
folks age well.
Yes,
So they
and
look younger than they
over,
are. So that's
over the
strange
age of
to me.
18, but as teenagers,
okay.
like the
Just seems weird.
the
Whatever.
10 to 18, and there's a lot that we could dive into. That's why
I don't really want to touch this racism stuff, please, today.
But as a 17-year-old, you
Sure.
know,
Well, I mean, all
they
17
look like they could be 18. Who knows, right?
Yeah.
They could be 18, 19, 20,
It's
21.
like, what is that? Age ambiguous, where you could be 16 or you could be 23.
There's
I don't
certain
know.
people that look like that, but these kids on the video, you know, they could
They
be
look like
17.
kids.
They
Yeah.
could be 17.
They could be 17 or they could be 20.
Could be 18,
Sure.
could be 20.
Sure.
I don't know. So supposedly there's a call in that says 2 black men, you know, were
That's not the
armed
way they word it.
robbery. It's some kind of armed robbery.
Once the call goes through, the dispatcher will take whatever they say and they'll say 2 black males.
Right.
And that's probably all the cop had to go off of.
Right.
From reporter to dispatch to police officer. Could be because a lot of times they'll ask them, how old did they look? And they said, they look like 15. They'd say black male juvenile. Black male, right? So it's BMA, WMA, whatever, white male adult.
What if it's between that stage, like the
They're
16 to 21 stage?
They're tweens.
like-
They love Twilight and the Jonas Brothers. Right? Isn't that what tweens like?
Yeah, I don't know.
fucking know.
I don't know.
Bro, I'm 39. Give me a break. I'm old.
So
Team Edward or Team Jacob? Which one? Bro, vampires. I could do without the sparkly stuff, but like being a vampire would be dope. What about you? Where are you at?
Team Bella. Was that the girl?
Yeah. Kristen Stewart?
I don't know, dude.
She's like,
I don't know who else is in the movie. I've never seen him.
yeah, I thought that was Kristen Stewart for a second. With that facial expression.
She's just off camera right
she's
now.
off camera.
You
It's
just
like, oh
can't see
shit,
her.
you snuck in, Kristen.
She was
Kirsten?
here.
Kristen?
I don't know.
I don't fucking know. Whatever. She sucks.
Yeah, horrible. Anyway, back on the video, you'll see that the young teenagers try to evade arrest for a little bit.
Well, evade detention.
Evade detention because the mom goes and asks, why were they detained? What's the reason? And the news article puts it out as this is just wrong identity, which the police officer, to his credit, doesn't know at the time it's the wrong identity. Sure. He doesn't know if the description is correct of the individuals because sometimes those aren't reliable, not 100%. So the question we had is it okay for a police officer to detain them, to pat them down, you know, to see if they do have weapons on a suspicion of armed robbery?
So You have a reasonable suspicion standard at that point.
Yes.
Reasonable articulable suspicion.
Which is lower.
Which is lower than probable cause. Probable cause is like 51%. That's for the arrest. Reasonable articulable suspicion would be what? 25, 30%, if we're putting it in something tangible.
Sure. Which the courts don't like you to do.
Right. I understand, but like for people to understand and for us to talk about like
I know.
Effectively, because it's different for everybody, right? My reasonable suspicion standard is different than yours, Austin's, whatever. It depends on the information, right? I would want a third person omniscient viewpoint, right? If like we were talking about earlier when I first saw the video, I was like, what the fuck? And you were like, oh no, it's fine. If he, like, for example, if the caller had said, two black male adults or two black males with shaved heads, a t-shirt and shorts. Those kids had fros, hoodies, and black pants.
Yes.
Then no, absolutely not. But
I agree.
If all he got was black male in this neighborhood, there's two of them. They're right there. It's a block from the call. Sure. But
so they're free to walk away. What if the cop detains you still? When you say, you know, I'm not consenting, I'll walk away. What if they still detain you?
They can do that. And then they can do a Terry stop, Terry frisk. They pat you down for weapons, for officer safety. That's fine because they have a reasonable, articulable suspicion of a crime being committed.
What if they say shaved heads, but these kids have fros?
I think that the bar slides towards no.
Okay.
Especially if it's something like that, right? Like, let's say Austin has a ponytail. And otherwise, we were exactly the same, like height, build, just our ages are different, right? And they say a white-looking male adult with long hair, and I'm walking down the road. Look at my fucking head, right? Did I shave it in the last 4 minutes? No, eat a dick, right? Like, do you see the point that I'm making? Like,
I understand. I completely understand.
And I don't know, man, because I think that in general, I think that police are kind of bullies. Especially in these instances, because I understand they have a job to do and they want to catch their guy. And I kind of like that they get those kind of people. It's not winning necessarily, but they want to win, right? They want to achieve, they want to
get the right guy for the crime.
They want to protect people,
sure.
Probably mostly. They go about it in a weird way sometimes. I think the goal is good, but how you get there is bad sometimes. And in that situation, when if you have something that says, oh, it's definitely not those dudes, first off, you're wasting your time, and the real guy could be getting away. If it's something objective like that, fro versus short hair versus braids versus long hair versus, oh, he's 5'3"-ish, and I'm walking around 6 foot tall. Don't stop me then. What was I? Or the opposite, right? Oh, he's 6 foot, and then you see, what is it, 3 dudes in a trench coat? Get out of here. You know what I mean?
And the mom comes in and asks all the right questions.
Yeah.
And that's how, you know, we would hope that everyone would be in this instance. You know, if the kids, they're 17, so they don't understand quite yet. But the mom asked all the right questions. Well, what were they being detained for?
Yeah. And
what was called in?
I think she used the word, what suspicion did you have?
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Yeah. Which I think every citizen should be armed with the right questions to ask.
And a gun.
And a gun. Well, the right questions to ask. Let's start there.
No, for sure. You need to be armed with information. Knowledge is power.
Knowledge is power. And the cop does not give her the information. And people see that as the cop maybe fudging the information,
Sure.
which might not be true.
Yeah.
We don't know.
Don't know.
As we're sitting, the cop might just be fumbling on his words and doesn't want to say anything wrong because then he'll be criticized for that.
Yeah, sure.
So
everybody's going to armchair quarterback him. But at the same time, I also think they don't like pushback. Which is why when you see someone ask the questions, when you see them ask the right questions too, like they use the right words, you can see them kind of like they change their tone and stuff. There are some instances I've watched where the cops go in a certain direction and then someone will throw the right thing down and it's like putting a line in the sand and they immediately veer. They're like, oh no, never mind. Right.
Insert one more video here, Austin. Have you ever seen this video of a guy who gets arrested because he laughs at the cops?
No.
Oh gosh. All right.
Please, Metro, do that to me, and you have my authority to tase me and beat me up while you're doing it because I want my student loans paid off, and you'll do it for me.
Stuff back there. And I wrote you 2 citations today. First one being special restrictions on lamps, which you can read that code, and it says no flashing lights shall be on a vehicle. And at that point in time, you had flashing lights on your vehicle. It's unauthorized.
Well, under the Constitution, it's protected in the First Amendment. But I'm going to look into it.
That's in Tennessee.
Yeah, I'm going to look into it. I'm going to see about West Virginia.
Yeah.
Free speech, you know.
Yeah, it's not illegal to do that, to flash and warn, but it's illegal to high beam, and it is legal to have flashing lights on your vehicle, not being an emergency vehicle. Huh?
I said, I'll see.
Okay. And I could take you to jail today for your unsigned registration card, but I just wrote you a citation for that. That's actually up to 6 months in jail. You think it's funny, sir?
I'll take the ticket, sir.
I know, but do you think this is funny?
I'm allowed to laugh. I can laugh all I want.
Okay. Go ahead and step out here for me.
No, I didn't do anything.
Sir, I'm asking you to step out the...
Am I being detained?
Yes, sir, you are. Step out of the vehicle.
Are you serious?
Place your hands behind your back for me.
Are you serious?
Yes, sir. Place your hands behind your back for me.
Oh, man, you're serious, brother.
I'm not your brother.
Believe me, you're not.
Yeah, I'll never be your brother. I'll never be your brother.
Exactly. Now, be careful.
I don't want to be your brother.
Be careful.
Don't jerk away from me, sir.
Just be careful.
Don't jerk away from me.
My wallet is in the car.
Okay, I don't want you to jerk away from me right there.
I was going away from the traffic.
No, I was putting you in front of my car.
Okay.
Which is away from traffic.
You're arresting me for laughing.
No.
I did't do anything.
I'm arresting you for unsigned registration.
Okay, all right, that's fine.
Okay, so stand right there. Hang tight in front of my vehicle.
He's one of those guys who got bullied in high school or something, and that's why he's a police officer. As he walks up, that was awful stupid, wasn't it? All right, Barney Fife.
And what he's asking is awful stupid is flashing your high beams to say there's a speed trap.
Yeah.
Which we talked about flipping the middle finger quite a bit. This is another protected speech according to the First Amendment.
Yeah.
But it's just funny that.
And then the ticket he gave him dealt with pretending
the ticket was wrong.
It was one of two things. It was either pretending to be an emergency vehicle, or it was like throwing extra hazards on the back of your car.
Yeah.
That's what that means. That's not what he did. That's so
and
fucking
then
stupid.
laughing at the police officer is what set him off.
And he didn't laugh at the police officer. He laughed at the idea that it's 6 months in jail. He's like, that's crazy. Oh, you think this is funny? Get out. And he complied.
So sensitive.
And then the best part was when he's like, whatever, brother. And he's like, I'm not your brother.
I'll never be your brother. I don't want to be.
I would never be your brother.
Oh gosh,
bro, dude, give me that fucking money. How come this never happens to me?
You got to flash your high beams at people
Lord,
or flip off
I
cops.
see the blessings that you're giving to others. Please.
All right.
Do you know how many guns I could buy? 5 good ones.
Our last listener question is, I don't know if you saw this out of Baltimore.
Last listener question ever?
Our last thing to talk about is our
today.
listener question.
I was going to take it way more seriously than
which is Marvin Sapp is in Baltimore, was a preacher.
Oh, I thought this was the question. Or that there was a person.
No.
Oh, damn.
This is kind of my question.
I was going to say, Marvin, looking forward to you. Let's go.
There's a video of the preacher who said, we're going to lock the doors till we raise $15,000.
Oh my God. Okay. It was more than that. It was 40, wasn't it?
It was 40, something around there.
30.
Could that be some kind of kidnapping or what charge would you think it would be?
What state was it in?
It was in Baltimore, Maryland.
So
would there have to be a complaining witness?
Yes.
For this to happen, you think?
There's never going to be a charge unless somebody complains. Involves... let's see. So this is saying that the definition involves carrying a person by force or fraud with the intent to conceal or carry them outside the state or into the state if they were previously outside. So that could not apply. There's got to be a more specific one. So let's see.
Is that not a federal one?
That's Maryland.
Okay. But that's carrying unlawful detainer, maybe something like that. I didn't think I'd perplex you this much.
Well, I'm trying to think. Well, okay, look. So yes, short answer, yes. It seems criminal to me. At the very least, it's in terrible taste. It's like, I've seen this video. He's like, hey, lock them doors. Now, you can't get out until you give me money. Can I do that? Is this like, maybe do they have a cheat code here? It's like, hey, listen, guys. Not saying anything, show's gun. You're not leaving until I get $322,000.
Hey, it depends on the complainants, right? If
for sure. No one's going to complain about it.
If somebody complains about that and says, hey, this is just showmanship, that's really made us decide whether we were committed to the church and the Lord or what have you. But don't do that.
No, bad idea.
I would tell people not to do that. That is not a good idea. Let people leave if they don't donate money to your church. But
yeah, I mean, it seems like I was wondering if there was some sort of extortion thing here. I just looked it up real quick. I don't know Maryland laws.
Potentially, yeah. We don't know Maryland laws, but in every state we know of, there would be some kind of criminal.
If they complain, no one's going to complain about that. But the thing is, it's on the
video.
internet. Yeah, it's on video on the internet.
So, but you still have to have witnesses,
and you
right?
also probably have to have an intent thing. And I'm sure his intent wasn't for that. I get where he was going with it. And I think they were Baptist, right?
I don't know.
Baptist, they do that whole revival thing. They're a little energetic, we'll call it. I was raised Southern Baptist in a Assembly of God, and they get after it.
All right. Well, so thanks for coming back. Thanks for listening.
Don't talk to cops.
Don't represent yourself.
Don't steal from people.
Hire Cox and Wilson. Yeah. Episode 50. Peace.